Welcome back to Kind Culture with Alex and Dydine, a podcast where we talk about all things kindness.
Yeah, all
And
things.
yes, and we hope our podcast brings a little bit of joy, a little bit of happiness in your life. We know life is not easy for everyone, and people around the world are going through different phases in their lives. They're going through different things, and we acknowledge that. And here we try our best to bring the light in the darkness.
Yes, we do.
We hope we are that to people who listen
Yeah,
to our podcast.
a little bit of light on your Monday morning,
Yes, 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 baby.
baby,
I did not mean to say that.
baby, baby, baby.
morning.
Anyway.
Good morning.
Morning. Happy Monday, people.
Happy Monday.
Yeah, today, so we want to speak a little bit about how kindness and acts of kindness can lead to trauma healing.
Yes, yes.
I think a very complex
It's a very complex
thing.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because you have to be very kind to yourself in order to actually begin that journey of healing. Because it's a journey that's very difficult,
Yes.
that's untraveled most of the times.
Yeah.
Or most of the time when you're going through a healing journey, it means you went through something that you did not expect.
Yeah.
And it was a shock and it devastated your life.
And a lot of times you find yourself unequipped to handle and deal with that particular trauma when it happens.
Yep.
And so I think this is very important.
Yeah.
And because we all have trauma.
Yeah.
Varying degrees of life experiences that may result in incredible hardship.
Pain is pain.
Yeah, pain is pain.
Yeah.
And in this conversation, hopefully can help all of us work through whatever that pain may be.
Yeah. So sometimes when people are going through some things, like you just mentioned, we are not all equipped to deal with a shock, to deal with something that have disturbed our peace.
Yeah.
And so.
Or rattled your worldview.
Yes. Yeah.
In your life circumstances.
Yeah. So sometimes it's like, oh my God, what's happening?
Yeah.
And that, oh my God, what's happening can go on for like decades.
But yeah, when faced with the trigger or just.
Or it can go on for a week. It can go on for a day. Or it can go on for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And you live the rest of your life. Oh my God. The sooner you work on it and find a way to like, okay, this is what I'm dealing with. These are the cards I've been presented with. How do I use these cards for the betterment of my own life?
Yeah.
I refuse to sit in, oh my God.
That craziness in your head. Like, I don't know what's
oh
going on.
Oh my God, I'm the victim. I'm dying. I'm, everything. Why me?
Yeah.
All those questions. You can live in them. You can sit in them. Priyanka Chopra said it so well. She said, I am not one who sits in my own shit. I refuse to sit in my own shit.
Yeah.
I choose to get out of it. And that's strength.
Yeah.
That and that's you being kind to yourself, knowing that sitting there long enough, it would actually disturb all the blessings, everything you would.
Yeah, it gets in the way of gets in the way of everything that you have coming to you, coming for you. Yeah. And we mentioned that in the last episode in being strong enough with yourself and being able to put yourself out of those shitty moments. By choice.
Yes.
Right. And so working through how we can use kindness working through trauma in your experience, Dydine.
Yeah.
So you're a survivor, right? And you have seen your share of trauma and violence, not just during the genocide, but of course afterwards.
Yeah.
In your life, in your short life, what tools have you found were useful for you? I mean, you were 3, almost 4 years old going through genocide, so maybe you didn't have many tools at that point. You don't remember that. But
without the shit.
Right. Yes. But go afterwards. Funny. Afterwards, what tools did you find were most helpful for you when dealing with the hardships of your life?
What tools? Mm-hmm. Well, I think one of the tools that may have helped me that I didn't even know it was a tool, mm-hmm. because when you go through hardships, when you go through a devastating, experience like war, like you know what I'm talking about. Yes, yeah. When you have a loss, you lose someone, you go through a breakup, or you go through something that it's unexpected and it's traumatic. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have to be extreme like a genocide like me. It can be something as simple as being fired from a job. Yeah. It can be something as having divorce or a breakup, or like those things. When you go through something that you didn't expect, sometimes the way we respond to those things, that's more important than the actual thing that happened. Yeah. And for me, because for me growing up, I saw, with my own eyes, people around me dealing with the trauma, because I grew up with everyone pretty much traumatized. You're African American, you're Black American, you kind of get it. You come from a history of people who experience so much tragedy, so much trauma, that you see it all around you, and it can get normalized.
Yes. Yeah.
So I grew up in a place where a lot of people around me were survivors, and pain and suffering and trauma was normalized. If you actually were not traumatized, it was almost like, why are you smiling?
What is going on with you?
Why are you happy?
What reason do you have to be happy?
Yeah. So that was a kind of more questionable than if you're going, woo, if you. And so people went into, using drugs or alcohol or prostitution or church. Yeah. I am one of the church people. Mm-hmm. Oh, you should have seen me praising the Lord when I was I was a little girl. Constantly sometimes sends me these little girls who are like preachers, and they're like 7. It's like, Dydine, every time I look at these girls, I think of you. and I think and actually I chose it wasn't my family that sent me to church. No, it wasn't. It was me. Yeah. And so my tool, I think, at the very early on, which I didn't even think about that it was a tool, I just did it because I found it was easy to hide there. Yeah. Than dealing with my own problems. It was easy for me to go to church and put all my problems in the hands of God and just hide them there and not deal with them, not think about them, and just go there, cry about them, that's it, and just deal with them every day, not do anything about it. Yeah. And so but somehow it was a safer tool than someone who was just going to the bar and drink their way, their lives out. Yeah.
They find their salvation at the bottom of a bottle.
Yeah. So there was a lot of more consequences to not actually have the time to deal with their problems later on, because they would have physically hurt themselves. Yeah. Or there won't be any comeback from it. Mm-hmm. I think with me, it saved my soul in the way that I was able to get to that point where I start looking at life in the way that's more like, oh, okay, this is what happened. This is what I can do. So it kind of being there in church was safer in the way that it gave me time to get to that point where I'm still safe. Yeah. It gave me a safe heaven. Yeah. Where when I'm an adult, when I'm starting to process life, when I'm starting to understand, I am not even more broken.
Yeah, right.
You see what I mean? Right.
It didn't fix me. You knew that going in, though.
No, I did not.
No,
I did not know that going in. I went in just knowing that if I go there, kneel down and cry about my problems, and give them to God, that's it. I'm fixed. Yeah. That's how I thought. That's how I will go in. But it saved me in the way that though it did not fix any problems in my life, because just praying, just asking for things doesn't mean, if you're not bringing the actions, it doesn't mean anything's gonna happen. Yeah, it's just like an illusion, but it puts you in like a pending mode.
Yes, a waiting mode.
Yeah, which is better than a suicidal mode.
You have hope at that point.
You have hope. You're like, life is gonna be better.
One day I'm gonna get.
One day you have like this type of a delusional hope. Where someone else will look at you and be like, are you serious right now? Why are you even smiling?
But that's enough for some people though, especially in the moment when you need the hope and you don't know where you're gonna get it, but you need it now. That's enough. That's enough.
I think spirituality is underrated.
Preach. It
is underrated. For me, I don't care if you are Hindu, you are Muslim, you are Christian, you're Jewish, you're Catholic, you're whatever. I don't care, as long as you have this spiritual understanding that there's power in believing in yourself. There's power in knowing that you have a hope, you have the future. There's a higher power that's bigger than yourself. You are almost I feel like it gives you, it shows you how little and small you are in the universe.
Yes. Yeah.
Everything doesn't become about you.
No, and I think in that, to that point, you're able to take yourself out of your current life circumstances. I like or life situations. I like the phrase life situation or life circumstances. As opposed to life.
No, so life situation.
You talk about like, oh, my life is awful. No,
this is a situation.
Your life situation right now.
It can change.
Yes, it can change like the wind.
And knowing that things can change, being flexible. I think being flexible, knowing mentally, just saying, I think that way today, but it doesn't mean I'm going to think this way tomorrow.
Yes.
And be okay with that. And just be like water.
Yes. Yes. Be like water.
Yeah. Be like water. Don't get stiff. Don't get stiff in your own, and then block yourself from actually moving forward, from flowing like a river, like flow, whatever.
And that's where spirituality comes in.
Yeah. That's where spirituality comes in. And it saves you in a way. For me, at least, it gave me time to be able to understand, to get to that point where I'm not confused. I'm not confused about life. I'm not questioning everything. I'm like, oh, okay, this is what happened. When this happens, this is what happens. So this is what I can do. And then I'm able to put it on the table and figure out how I can better myself, how I can find my true healing, my true self outside the traumatic life experience. Not to respond because of what I have been through.
Right. Or what you're currently going through.
Or what you're
currently going through.
Yes, yeah.
And that's a really tricky thing, because I mean it's one thing to have gone through something and you no longer feel threatened. Physically or emotionally. Now you just have to work to get through it. But when you're actively going through something, I mean that's another element that
it's really
can be very challenging.
When you're actively going through something, I think it's really challenging and really difficult to know that my response, or it's the response I have because of what I'm going through. And be able to differentiate those circumstances of my response to things that are happening around me are not who I am. It's the trauma. This anger I'm carrying.
It's not you.
Despair I'm carrying. This just cloud of darkness I'm carrying in my heart, or this like just feeling like I can't. It's almost like there's like a fog in. When I still sometimes, you probably know that you're my husband, we live together, so you know my moments.
Yes.
So the more you get to learn yourself, the more you get to understand yourself, when you are going in the rabbit hole.
Yes, you're going down that that path to like having a heart of darkness.
Yes.
As we like to call it.
Yes. And you can feel yourself sinking.
Mm-hmm.
You can feel yourself not able to bring yourself to those positive thoughts you normally have.
Mm-hmm.
And then you ask yourself, why am I feeling this way? Why am I crying about things that are not even that sad? You know, that everything just becomes like the end of the world.
Yes. Yeah.
So when you have been on the journey of healing, what I've learned personally is that you're able to recognize those moments and to be able to take yourself out, be able to realize, oh, I am doing this because of this.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, this is happening.
It's that awareness. It's that self-awareness, particularly in the moment where it's like a little thing goes off and you're like, oh, wait a second. This is not the place.
This is not how I normally would respond to this in the normal setting. So this is actually not the reality. The reality is this. So you're able to, you know, so that, and then you're able to know that I deserve better. I deserve to be able to respond with a kind of hurt. I deserve peace. I deserve, you know, you kind of start bringing yourself back and knowing that you deserve that healing. You deserve the journey that's beautiful and calm and less, you know, dramatic and
you deserve peace and happiness.
And so you can see the difference. But if you've never been on the path where you choose healing, where you choose to be gentle to your soul and be kind to your soul, you don't know when you're actually hurting your own soul.
Yeah, I think that's important though. And I hear what you're saying. But it also takes a tremendous amount of, like I said, self-awareness and self-knowledge and understanding who you are as a person.
Yeah, and who you want to be.
Yeah. So I watched this this YouTube channel called Cinema Therapy, and there's two hosts, this therapist and this filmmaker, this director.
Yeah.
And in a couple of episodes, he mentions whenever he has clients come in, you know, as a therapist, he asks, if they have a question, like, I don't know what I want to, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know who I want to be. I don't know who I am. I don't know who I am is the question.
Yeah.
And then he always responds, well, who do you want to be? And that's a profound question that you're asking.
Most people actually don't know.
When you feel lost, it's exactly what it is. Most people don't know.
Following what they have been told to be true,
or the thing that you've been led to believe, this is who you are,
a way of life.
Yes, and so
they don't know who they truly are.
When you present that question to them, then it's almost like an existential
crisis. Yeah,
like I have no idea how to answer that question.
That's
honestly,
really interesting.
Yeah, and so when I watched this video and I heard that, it occurred to me just how hard that is to grapple with, particularly in the moment.
Yeah.
Because like you said, a lot of people would have a hard time answering that question immediately. I don't know who I am.
Yeah.
Who do you want to be?
Can you repeat that question again?
So I wanted to sort of circle back to when we were talking about spirituality. And for me, my own personal experience with that and how I've sort of wielded my own understanding of myself with spirituality and how I've sort of combat a lot of the the challenges of life.
Yeah.
And so I was a very spiritual kid, very spiritual, like young child.
Yeah.
And I think a part of it came through the stuff that I was exposed to, like the media and stuff. Like I used to watch a lot of anime and Japanese content. Yeah. And I found that resonated with me as a kid. Yeah. In the quiet moments, it's in the stillness of life that I found who I was. When there wasn't any distractions or any I would like my parents would leave me home alone. I would just revel in how quiet it was. And I wasn't distracted and I would just look at stuff.
You're still the same way though.
I am. But here's the thing. I found my identity through the sort of stillness, and it wasn't empty. It was the stillness and the vacancy was filled with so much life.
Yeah.
Like in an empty room, you may consider it empty, but space is not empty.
No. It's things like they say that you are alone if you don't like the person you're alone with.
Sure.
Which means your own spirit. Because then if you love really your own spirit,
there's
you're not alone. And
yes,
anything, it can be a presence of some sort.
That's what it was. Yeah. And so I'm attempting right now to articulate something that I think is very abstract.
Yeah.
But I think, and we have spoken about it, I think it's very important for us to understand. I found music in the stillness. There's music in the walls that if you look long enough, you can hear it, you can see it, you can see beauty in it.
Yeah.
And you can see it reflected in yourself.
Yeah.
And so I found that I could find like mirrors through like the anime and the whatever. And I found there were just so many different aspects of life that were just so engaging and so real for me.
And rich
with life. And and it allowed me to dream as a small child.
Yeah.
My imagination ran wild with the possibilities of the person who I could be one day, or the person that I thought I was at the moment. And so I say all of that to then present what happens in life with a lot of us. That sort of imagination, that power, that sense of wonder that we have, eventually can get beat out of us.
Yeah.
And through, adolescence and just naturally growing up. And as you mentioned, being a black boy in the States is an incredibly challenging life to live. Everybody has difficulties in life, but particularly being black in the States, it's tough.
Yeah.
That was beat out of me because I was told, you're supposed to be one type of way. You're supposed to like this thing.
Yeah.
And of course, you can't just go down the hallways of school saying like, I see the music in the air. I love life. And I love the arts of the things that aren't readily accepted and blah, 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 blah. And then, that's hard to explain to an adult.
No.
You can't explain that to an adult. So how are you going to explain that to other kids who have been told to talk about things? And
this is how life is. This is what I should do.
That sort of stuff just sort of naturally gets swayed to the side and beat out of you. And it's hard to recapture that the older you get.
Yeah.
And so that's really tricky.
Yeah, it is.
And how do you recapture those moments, that levity and the spirituality?
Yeah.
I think that what I experienced from a very young age, but I think I was really lucky to know that part of myself, because I knew my identity. And so going back to that question, I don't know who I am. Who do you want to be?
Yeah.
If you don't have that ability to see what you are, without the trivialities of life and all the distractions, whatever, then it'll be really hard to answer that question for yourself.
Oh, yes. It'll be really hard.
As you get older, again, rediscovering that part of yourself, it is essential to answering that question. Who do you want to be? But also being able to handle and combat the traumas that you have sustained.
Yeah.
Because life sort of takes on when you're a child,
different turn.
You've now experienced all these different things. But I think the truth of you has not really changed.
No, the core
of you.
Yeah, the core of you doesn't change.
People have just buried it, dug a hole, and then piled on a bunch of dirt on top of it. But that diamond is still in there. You just have to uncover the dirt that the world and life has put on top of you.
As we're talking about the core of you, as you said, that it just reminded me, like maybe almost 10 years ago, I had a speech somewhere, and few people were like, oh my God, you're always smiling. Nobody can tell that you went through what you went through. And then I'm just like, I didn't know that about me. And I called my mom and I asked her, I was like, Mom, people ask me, like, when I was in Rwanda, I had a speech and somebody in Rwanda said the same thing. It's like, one of the things that's nice to listen to you when you're speaking, even if when you're speaking about, the most traumatic things, your aura is still joy.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something I haven't seen. And so, and it's like, I was like, Joy, I don't even feel that way right now. So I call her and I ask her, it's like, Mom, people keep saying this whenever they learn what we went through, what I went through, to like, how can I be able to smile? She just like, I imagine her rolling her eyes on the phone because like, oh my God, you were always, that eye roll. I can feel the eye rolls. Yeah. And she's like, yeah, you were always like that.
Yeah.
When you're a baby. And I was like, what do you mean when I was a baby? Mm-hmm. And then shares with me a story. I think I've shared this with you or I don't know if I have. Maybe I shared it with Console, because she had me out of wedlock, and back home it was like very taboo.
Yes.
So her life, which was a teenager, so her life was miserable.
Yeah.
And here I am, smiling all the time. She crying, I'm smiling, I'm trying to, like, she's like, why? And I'm chubby. I was a very chubby baby. big cheeks, and these are not new.
Oh, those are worn cheeks.
And then she's sad because what she's going through as a teenage mom, like, back in the 90s, people who, people know, especially in our countries, if probably now it's still going on, where you have a child when you're a teenager. Oh my God, the community, your family, they drive you even crazier than getting pregnant would have drove you crazy.
Yeah.
And so her going through that, and then here I am smiling. And sometimes it will help with her tears. And other times she'll be like, oh my God, I don't want to pinch her so she can cry with me.
You want to pinch her? Still stepping that little toe.
Just pinch her little fat toe. Wrinkly. Yeah.
And so, but you were always just smiling at her.
Yeah.
You're always like, why are you sad? Why are you?
Yeah. But then after genocide, I became this bitter, angry child. Yeah. That I didn't even know that I can be a happy person, and so I think, like you just said, the core of me, if I didn't go through what I went through, I was supposed to be a happy person anyway.
Yeah, it would have happened.
Just bitten out of me.
Yes.
Yeah, that's where I was going.
Well, I love the story, and I have heard it before, and I 100% agree with you in that.
That's probably what was gonna happen anyway.
Yeah. You were, and again, that's a testament to the strength and the desire to get back to that person.
Going back home. There's a book is like coming home. Is like coming home to yourself.
Coming home to yourself.
Yes. Yeah.
And rediscovering that life essence. And the wonderful thing about that is that when you reveal the core of yourself, I think instinctively people know that is a good thing. Yeah. That joyous. Yeah. Unaffected.
Yes. I wish it to everyone.
Person who and it shines brighter than any other facade, any other mask that we wear to try to hide that person.
It's actually strength.
It is strength.
People think like doing this, like becoming, or whatever.
Becoming
it's
just
strength.
like strong.
No,
like,
that's actually whenever I'm for me. Sorry, people, but when I meet a guy who's like, oh, like this. That's so unattractive to me.
Yeah, me too.
I'm like, you need like a couple sessions of therapy.
Few sessions of therapy, but that's their coping. That's their coping. Coping mechanism. That's
why it's not.
Especially you can speak to the Black community for sure.
Yeah.
That's like that's the way that we were told to come up. In a lot of ways, that was the only way to get through a lot of the trauma for a lot of people, a lot of men especially.
I don't know if you get through it though. You just
no. You just don't break down. That's the only way to stave off the mental and emotional breakdown.
That's what they used to say back home. There was a saying. It's a popular saying in Rwanda that it says that amarira y'umugabo atemba ajya mu nda, which means a man's tears flows within it. It doesn't flow out. It flows within the.
It flows in.
How do you call the womb? The men
stomach?
Don't have a womb in the stomach.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's a saying that when men went through stuff, they didn't cry publicly. Nobody knew that men can cry. So because if you cry publicly, then you have embarrassed your entire family. Yes. It's a weakness.
Yeah.
And so it was it's still a famous saying in the culture, which you can imagine how painful that must be for the boys that were born within that culture.
Definitely.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, and that's that reminds me. This is kind of a silly
example,
metaphor or illusion.
That's okay. Share with us.
Okay, so it reminds me of Dragon Ball Z. So there's a very stark difference between the characters Goku and Vegeta.
I laugh about them. Is that what you say? They were silly.
Well, I think by the nature of what we're talking about, but I think it's important here. So you have Goku and Vegeta. They both fight, right? They're both very intense fighters who love fighting. I know.
You made me watch them throughout the whole pandemic.
Oh, it was great. You loved it. She loved it.
I was forced to.
Listen, okay, so Vegeta is this like strong, sort of stoic, intense fighter who like would fight early on in his character arc. Yeah. He would fight with intensity and just like the desire. Well, he was a murderer, but he would fight with like aggression and like I'm out to beat you down, and that was it.
But no tactics.
No, very tactical, but without there wasn't joy and like a levity with it.
What was the name of the other guy, the main guy?
Goku. Yeah, so by contrast, Goku fought with like joy and with a smile on his face all the time.
And win.
And that was the most frustrating thing with Vegeta. And so I think the dichotomy between those two characters.
Yeah.
And as we were speaking, like being like tough and manly and blah, 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 blah. That doesn't, I'm thinking about sports because my mind went to sports as well. Yeah. I think about a lot of NBA players, football players. You fight, you play the sport with a lot of aggression.
Yeah.
And a lot of like intensity, and you're told to don't be soft because, you know, you won't make it in this league or in this sport or whatever. But if you can play with aggression without stone or putting up these walls with your soul, you can still play with joy and be effective and win.
You reminded me when I was in high school, I had this friend. He was a great storyteller. He was very funny, and he did karate and everything fighting. Mm-hmm. So he was like a very fighter and strong.
Sure.
But then he on the side he played basketball.
Okay.
But he was a very stiff angry basketball player.
I knew a lot of this. Yeah.
And then in his team, the captain was his best friend.
Yeah.
And he only played because the captain is his best friend.
Okay.
So when they will go out of the school, play like the high school league or whatever, the other high schools, he would be on a bench. Mm-hmm. Just he would have the gift of just going with them.
Yeah.
Which is fun. But then one time I think one of their player, they didn't have a player. Mm-hmm. They had to put him in. He turned everybody into that ball.
Oh, I bet. Yeah, aggressive and just like
he broke
no everyone. Fundamentals, blowing through people.
And they lost, and it became a disaster.
And they lost. You know that reminds me as well. You know, because we had a bunch of. It's a natural thing. Like you had the football season before basketball season in high school, and the basketball players the people who are just basketball players, they've been practicing. You know,
they're the whole. They
got finesse and they got the fundamentals. But then the football kids would come over after football season and they would try out, make the team, whatever, go to practice, and a lot of them strong as hell, big. And they would just be bulldozing, like, pounding the ball, boom, boom, boom. Like, why are you trying to dribble the air out the ball for? Like, and then, they'd be throwing these elbows, aggressive because they came from football. That reminds me of my friend.
Yeah.
Dietrich Wise, right? So
he was
that kid. Dietrich, if you hear this podcast, Dietrich, for those who don't know, he plays for the New England Patriots in NFL.
Yeah.
And he hosts training camps at Hebron High School, my alma mater, my high school back home during the summer.
That's funny.
Yeah, we should get him on the show sometime. But Dietrich, I'm gonna call you out though. Back in the day, you were big. You were already big back in high school.
Yeah.
And so after he came, from high school or from football to basketball, I remember, man was strong. Man was lumbering. He had the length, but he didn't have the fundamentals of basketball. And it was like, and I remember he would just bulldoze people and just like go up and grab rebounds, throw them big old elbows, and like, golly, Dietrich. It was a lot of fun, but I remember that. I can empathize with what you're talking about.
Yeah, well, it was. That's why I started smiling because I've.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's very interesting when we know the things that we're doing. Mm-hmm. We do it with like finesse, like you're saying, like be okay to be like soft and vulnerable and kind and just still be strong.
Yes.
It's not a weakness.
It's not a weakness at all.
It's not a weakness. A weakness to be finesse, to be like, to be
in flow. The flow with your stuff.
Yeah. So be flow masters of your life.
Flow master.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Look it up. It's a thing. Like, Wake up in the morning, like we spoke about in the previous episode. Write notes of positive things that you want in your life and put them all over your house, all over your room. If you don't have a whole house, you can put in your bedroom or your bathroom. And you just remind yourself those things. They are going to become a reality in your life.
Yeah, agreed.
There was a guy who wrote, or you might know him, who wrote a check, $1 million check for himself, an actor.
Yeah, it was Jim Carrey.
He
wrote him that check. I think it was $1 million for acting services rendered.
Yeah, that's what he wanted for his life.
Yeah.
Was he near there? Nope. Did he dream about that? Yes. Did he get there and beyond? Yes.
Yeah.
So it's the things we say, the things we pull from the universe, they happen. So be careful. Be careful with your words.
Yes.
Be careful with the things you call upon yourself.
Yeah.
And call the best things in your life. They're going to happen. Yeah.
Agreed.
Thank you. I think I can be wise sometimes.
I think you can be wise most of the time.
Sometimes.
Yeah, a lot of times.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But folks, thank you so much for joining us on this episode. I hope you learned.
This was fun.
Well, something. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I hope, I didn't mean to call anybody out in the negative way.
No, we didn't call nobody out.
No. I'm just trying to think. I'm trying to think back and not say anything. Oh, well. Thank you guys for joining us. If you do want to see more, listen to more episodes, hit that subscribe button on all of the platforms, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, you know the ones. Visit our Patreon, give some love, show some love,
some support.
If you got some love to show. Our little doggy's back here doing something.
She's actually dreaming.
Scratching. Oh, she's dreaming right now. She's scratching.
You know how doggies dream?
They're kicking. She's kicking. And
she's probably running after Squirrel in her dreams.
I hope that's what it is. And not being chased by.
No, it looks like she's excited.
Good. That's good to hear. If you got a dog and you got dogs that dream, hey, let them sleep. Let them dream. Let them live their greatest lives in their heads.
All right, guys. We'll see you next week on Monday at 6 a.m. Pacific time. Go be kind to yourself and everyone else around you. Love you. Bye.